Hello, I am Joshua P. Warren, and these wind chimes are a piece of the Brown Mountain Lights. And only 100 of them exist in the whole wide world, and they were handmade by my mother and father, Daniel and Peggy Warren, who are artisans in the Blue Ridge Mountains. So this is a very special piece, and before I tell you the story of these wind chimes and how they connect to the Brown Mountain Lights, I want to tell you a bit about why wind chimes in general. Well, you may or may not realize that wind chimes for thousands of years have had a very mystical relationship to various cultures. In fact, most often, especially in ancient Europe and ancient Asia, wind chimes were believed to ward off evil spirits. The reason is because, well, these spirits are sort of lurking around in the shadows and they don't want you to know they're creeping up, right? But these wind chimes are kind of like an instrument that transforms the invisible into something that you can hear. Now, of course, wind is one example of that, but they can transform or transduce all kinds of interesting forces. And so it's almost like a warning system that also offers protection. Furthermore, I found it intriguing when studying wind chimes that in ancient Asian cultures, they believed that having the sound of the wind chime actually reinforces your chi, your bioenergy. It's almost seen as music from the gods or music from Mother Nature. Literally some kind of metaphysical tune that's being played. So wind chimes create a very healthy environment all around them in general. So to have this special wind chime handmade by my mother and father using components from the area around Brown Mountain where the Brown Mountain Lights are seen is truly remarkable. Because of course, Brown Mountain is world famous as some kind of a power supply for earth energy. Nobody knows why there are so many spirits around. Some say they're even fairies, elves, sprites, alien spacecraft. Nobody's sure exactly what's happening at Brown Mountain. But what we can tell you is that that place is a very powerful conduit for energy. So, my mother and father, Daniel and Peggy Warren, again, who are artisans who live in Western North Carolina, had the idea to take some of the components that are connected to the Brown Mountain area, its myth, its legend, its power, and convert those components into, yes, a beautiful wind chime. And you may or may not realize, my father, Daniel, he has been carving walking sticks for years. They're some of the finest walking sticks really in the world. I mean, they're sold in fine shops in many, many states around the United States. So it's not that surprising that my mother and father would have the ability to create something as special as these wind chimes. And of course, people ask me all the time, Joshua, where do you get your interest in the unknown, the mysterious? Where does that come from? Well, it comes from my parents because they've also had that fascination, and that's one of the things that inspired me growing up. So let me tell you more specifically about what my mom and dad have created here. These wind chimes are magnificent because they're so multi-layered. For one thing, at the top here, we have actual wood from the Brown Mountain area. Now, mind you, Brown Mountain itself is in the Pisgah National Forest, so the resources there are protected. But the lights are seen all around that whole area. And so I want to assure you that nothing was obtained illegally here. Everything was done properly. And that's why I'm telling you, this is the same type of wood from right there in the neighborhood. And all the other components I'm going to point out are also from that same area, the Linville area, where the lights are seen. And obviously, each one of these components is a great channel for that energy that creates the lights. So at the top we have this piece of wood, which of course is shaped like a pyramid. And that's because a pyramid is the most powerful shape in sacred geometry to channel and focus power, and spiritual energy. So it only makes sense for this to be capped with a pyramid of actual hand custom made, hand shaped wood from the Brown Mountain area. And of course, I just have this hanging up on a lamp right now because I'm inside my house. But you know, it comes with a nice string here and this little eye bolt, and so you are able to take this and hang it anywhere you want. Sometimes it's common to hang them from a tree outside or maybe from your awning. I mean, there are lots of different places you could hang it. It comes ready to hang when you get it. Then, of course, we have the tubes that make the music. These are hand ground by my father to produce just the right kind of charming, peaceful music that you would expect from Mother Nature. And I think it might be just a little bit more than coincidence that this little piece here in the middle that I guess you could almost call a dinger kind of looks like maybe a little flying saucer, don't you think? So perhaps a little homage to some of the things that people say about Brown Mountain. But my favorite part is this. Here we have a bucket, and guess what's inside the bucket? These are actual chunks of pure raw quartz from the Brown Mountain Lights area. Can you believe that? There are several of these chunks in there, and I think these are key components to what creates the Brown Mountain Lights. The crystalline structure of these special pieces of quartz is able to produce an enormous amount of electricity when pressed together. And when they're just hanging around like they will be here in the wind chimes, they are still sitting there and channeling that relationship between the energy in your environment and how that affects, again, maybe your chi or something like that. So when you get the wind chimes, these chunks of quartz will be in a little separate baggie. And so what you'll have to do is just take them and you can arrange them on your own, however you like. Isn't that amazing? I've never heard of such a thing. Chimes that have pieces of quartz and wood from the area of the Brown Mountain Lights. But that's not all, because guess what is at the very bottom? This is a locally carved wooden owl. Now, why is an owl so fitting on wind chimes that are meant to be protective channelers of spiritual energy for you and your home? Well, that's because owls also for thousands of years have been considered wise, spiritual, because they have excellent stereoscopic vision. They can see in very low light, so they can see what's lurking in the shadows. They have excellent hearing. Do you know that owls have represented wisdom going all the way back to even the ancient Greeks? The patron goddess in ancient Greece was Athena, also the goddess of wisdom. And guess what Athena's symbol was? You guessed it, the owl. So not only is this owl there to see what's lurking, to protect you, to alert you, to be your sentinel, but owls also have a very interesting relationship with ghost stories in western North Carolina. There are plenty of tales about spirits coming in the form of owls. There's one scenic little town in the western part of the state there called Cashers, and there's a white owl that people say flies around protecting certain property there. So you have a long tradition of people associating the owl with that sort of alert wisdom and that almost sixth sense, that ability to see into the darkness, into the shadows. What a configuration. The wood from Brown Mountain, the interesting hand-ground tubes that also look like there might be a little flying saucer in there, a bucket full of actual pieces of raw quartz crystal from the Brown Mountain Lights area, and then of course here we have our little buddy. This is the guardian owl. And all of this together is going to create a protective alert system that will protect you your family, your loved ones, your property, all in the spiritual realm, and produce beautiful music coming from Mother Nature that, according to the ancient Chinese and even modern Chinese, will enhance your chi, your prana, your ki, your bioenergy, and make you feel like a healthier, better person. But it's just fascinating to think about how for thousands of years people have used something like these wind chimes in order to transform the invisible forces of nature into something that can be appreciated by human senses. So, this piece, and again, only 100 of them exist. This piece, made by hand by my mother and father, Daniel and Peggy Warren, is something that you will cherish and that you will pass down for generations to come. And when you receive it, I'll also send the special document that tells the story of how these were made and who made them, and also the story behind each of these components and why they're so special. And you know, it would be a heck of a thing to just get the wind chimes and this nice document, but you know me, I'm always trying to sweeten the deal a little bit. So guess what? While you're waiting to receive your wind chimes, and they're all constructed, okay? They're done. They're sitting there. They're ready to be shipped. These are going to be shipped out immediately. While you are waiting, I want you to have something fun to do. So I have a free bonus item I'm going to throw in. And you know, one of my good friends, Timothy Green Beckley, he is a publisher, and he's publishing some of the most fascinating books in the world. This is an ebook that usually would cost quite a bit of money that you are going to instantly receive when you buy the wind chimes. Listen to what this book is called: The Complete Book of Talismans, Amulets, and Magic Gemstones. It's got Egyptian imagery right there on the front. Listen to what it says on the back. It says energy, power, prestige. It's as simple as carrying that lucky coin in your pocket or slipping on that glittering necklace or bracelet. Goes on to say, from remote times back even to the birth of humanity, precious stones and talismans have been held in high esteem. And so they go on here and tell you the details behind different materials, psychic and magnetic influence of talismans and gems, wisdom, the gemstones of the archangels, the nature of the cross, moon amulets, blessings of the rings. I mean, how to remove negativity. This ebook is hundreds of pages. I mean, you can read this on any device. Like I have this right now on my little Kindle. But you can read this on your computer. You can read this thing on your cell phone. I mean, any device that can read PDFs, basically. And you see, it's as easy as this. The table of contents gives you a good idea of some of the things, and it's very extensive. There's a whole section about amulets and talismans, gemstones of the zodiac, using charms, amulets, and rings to enhance your life. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Egyptian talismans, Greek, Roman, Oriental talismans. It's highly illustrated. So anyway, you're going to be able to receive this as soon as you make your purchase. So you'll be able to read this and enjoy it and apply it to your life. And you'll appreciate it even more when you get your quartz stones from the area of the Brown Mountain Lights. So I can't imagine a more unique and special pack, okay? Whether you're buying this as a gift for yourself or for someone else that you love and care about, it's something that is truly unique. It's handmade by the folks who live right there, the artisans who are right there near Brown Mountain, using components connected to the Brown Mountain Lights. And yes, just so happens to be my mother and father. So talk about something with quite a paranormal tradition behind it. So if you are one of the lucky few who gets one of these 100 sets of wind chimes, along with the document, the ebook. All you have to do is go to joshuapwarren.com. There's no period after the P. Go to joshuapwarren.com and you'll find the information as long as I have these in stock. And you will know that you have something very powerful, very special, connected to the spiritual world, protecting you and your belongings and your property and your loved ones. And you'll be able to sense things that otherwise might be there all the time, but are invisible. So let's make sure we only bring in good spiritual forces and keep the bad ones away. So until next time, thank you for watching this video, and may the force be with you.